was it 13 to like 22-year-olds? They were showing them items and like asking them questions about things that we would know from 80s and 90s, and like no idea. They're like the funniest answers that were coming out.
What? The turtles are coming back.
What the f***? What does that even mean?
Exactly.
Ninja Turtles?
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man.
Yeah, but they're gonna
whatever. We'll see how that goes. I haven't.
Probably.
Have you watched the X-Men show yet? On Netflix? I almost don't want to watch it because I feel like it's going to ruin a lot for me, because I used to watch the old X-Men quite a bit. They brought that back too.
I just wish they would bring back Transformers.
Well, they screwed up He-Man big time. Transformers would be cool.
Wait a minute.
They did that with...
when did He-Man come out?
It was on Netflix. Kevin, the one guy that you thought would be able to do it justice, the guy from Jay and Silent Bob. No, it was a series. But they brought it back and it was terrible.
Oh,
it was awful.
That explains why.
So they just bring this crap back because, one, they're not creative enough to make something new, and two, they want to push into politics, and then it just ruins it.
Yeah. Too many clicks.
Keep your politics out of my childhood, please.
Right? Yeah.
Right? It's the only place we have left to go back to.
Exactly.
That still was sweet.
I've got nothing to look forward to. I only have fond memories to look back on. Thanks for...
Did you tell AJ you fixed your truck?
I didn't fix my truck. I listened to you ramble out loud about all the different things that could be wrong with it. And then
I just told you to push harder.
You did. So the emergency brakes were seized up because guess what? I can't park on the street anymore. So I'm parked on an incline. And when Jamie was like, physics, it makes total sense that if you're parked on an incline now and your emergency brake is like seized because it's always pitched forward like that. So, it's just science. So he's like, disengage the emergency brake and then just gently kind of rock with it and make sure that, one, you don't hit your house. It's 2 feet away from the back of the truck.
About the house.
And don't hit your car, which is parked another 1.5 feet from the front of the truck.
I'm pretty sure he about got on the truck with it and drive to move the car.
It's one of the most precision exercises I've done in a while. And to have succeeded at it with you on the phone, that's a new level of accomplishment in and of itself.
Hey, man. It's always cool when you do something like that. Hey, I'm the same way. Every time you teach me something, I'm like, oh, look at that.
Right. But then when it's all done, you could look back on it and go, yeah, I understand what was wrong with it. I still have no idea what was wrong with it. I mean, it's broken. I told Jamie that I'm just going to put like a sock or something on the emergency brake so I know never to engage it ever again.
Well, if you want, you could
put a thong on it.
So you could take it apart and follow the cable and see if like the cable's like frayed anywhere.
It was limp.
What are we talking about?
Oh, so the brake. So wait, was the front of the truck facing the street?
Yes.
Okay.
The butt of the truck was up because that's on the incline.
When you put it in reverse and went backwards, did it unlock?
I had to rock it a whole lot. Put it in drive, jam on the gas. Put it in reverse, jam on the gas. Put it in drive, jam on the gas. But I did all that with the emergency brake engaged. So I didn't go through the garage or into my car. And then when I released the emergency brake, then all of a sudden, like the 7th or 8th time was a charm. And then I started to roll. So I'm like, oh, good.
You got a little excited.
I did.
You went driving even with the high head?
I didn't. I didn't.
The only thing I can think of is you rusted together, which is weird. I don't think a brake pedal can rust. Can it, Jamie?
I don't know. I've never let a truck sit for 3 years.
I knew where that was going to go, and don't get him started.
Welcome to the Rhythm Pyro Podcast, where Posey, AJ, and Jamie ignite your passion for pyro musical show design while testing the very limits of your capacity for stupid.
Jimmy, what are you laughing at? Did you know that Google said that the number one reason that the truck doesn't work for this part and this part and this part? It's because it sits too long.
Hey, though, I mean, it's true. Look what happened to the van. I let it sit for way too long and click. And I was like, oh, found out later. Oh, I didn't know an alternator pulley could just freeze up. That's strange. And like you said, it was like third time's the charm. Replace the battery. That didn't work. Replace the starter. That didn't work.
Oh, yeah. You haven't been putting that battery on a trickle charger.
Think of all the money that you went through because you're so smart. And you knew all of these subsystems within the truck to check for problems.
I already spent enough money figuring out the problems myself.
You would have thought that you could succeed being so dumb.
Until I got so many tools. Yeah. You got so many tools because this one doesn't work. Let me buy this one.
There's a couple tools I got that are, when you look at them, you're like, I think I used this one time and I'll never need this again for another 100,000 miles, hopefully.
Well, I got to unbow my side-by-side. The grass around it's like 2 foot tall.
Unbow it. Wow. Man, you're on a roll tonight, Jamie.
I haven't used this since last fireworks season.
This is awesome.
It's been on trickle charger for a week now.
Normally he uses my name as an adjective when it's arbitrary. You can apply it to anything, but that one I knew exactly what he was referring to. It's been sitting for years without any attention. Welcome to the Rhythm Pyro podcast. I'm Bo. That's AJ.
Hola.
That is Jamie.
Bo-tastic.
We're hobbyists and semi-professional pyro show designers. We're fans of the modern pyro musical, and the podcast is a place where we can get together, talk, shop fireworks, art, share tips, tricks, news, and insights with you. I think we have a cast for the first show roundtable. I got to look at the timestamps again, but I think it's Jason Marshall and John Mickrit that are going to occupy the 2 seats later this month.
I thought it was 3.
No, it was 2. I want to start small. We
could just have those 2 and have a standoff.
You guys think that you're going to come on and we're just going to have this friendly roundtable, but in reality, we're going to give you the floor and you have to perform for 3 minutes. Then we're going to grade you.
Game show.
We're going to grade you.
Pyro game show. Yeah, that would be fun. CJ responded to it, but he never said in his response, because I had to go back and read it. He never said, I want in. He just commented about how interesting it was going to be, which I agree with that assessment. It's probably going to be interesting. But when I looked at it, I was like, is that I want to join? Or is that just a comment?
How far back was that one? Dude, the general chat blows up so much, I can barely keep up with it.
It's on the Patreon. And there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 comments.
Okay. Why do I not? I don't get anything from them.
I don't know. I don't even know if you can turn on notifications.
I should. I pay for it.
You should. That's right. You should. Patreon.com/Rhythm Pyro. If you'd like to support the podcast and become a member of the Patreon community, you can be just like AJ. And when you say your prayers at night, you can thank AJ for the ability to make money and spend it on the Patreon. Spend it on the Pyro Patreon.
All right. Spend $5. You can make more tomorrow.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to buy you a coffee once a month? I would.
Oh, me too.
All right. Let's see.
Oh, I see it now.
You see what I'm talking about? I can't tell what that is.
Oh, he says, I'm interested to see how this turns out.
Right.
Should be interesting to say the least.
Exactly. How do you interpret that? I didn't interpret that as, and I read it an inordinate amount of times to make sure. I know what's going to happen now is I'm going to go back to the Discord after this airs on Friday and CJ is going to be like, I was first. What are you doing? So I'm going to have to put some kind of keyword or something in the casting call. Like, hey, you got to say this and then you get the seat.
I would say that it's exactly
some real liberties with that.
No, I would take that as he's really like, oh, I want to hear this one. Uncut, unfiltered. Yeah, this ought to be.
It'll be the first episode that I don't listen to in 2 times speed.
Or maybe he does.
Who knows? Yeah. I can't imagine what we sound like in 2 times speed. Go check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Those are all stupid.
You know what we sound like? We sound like the episode.
You're all stupid.
It's all dumb. Let's see. Okay, we are talking about disasters this week. Let me read this.
Like
here.
parking your truck for 3 years?
Shut up. This topic idea comes from Crispy Pyro, and it was a suggestion on the Discord. So let me look here so I can read this.
Crispy Pyro.
All right. Disasters.
That sounds like a disaster.
That's right. Disasters and what did you learn? Most of us have had things go wrong related to our shows. Planning, prep, setup, execution, cleanup, etc. And it changed how we do things. I'm using disaster sensationally, meaning this isn't just about the things that go horribly wrong, but things that triggered us to make a conscious effort to change. Add something to the checklist, provide more guidance to helpers and crew, never or always do again, etc. So there was some more to that. I think he also suggested bringing this up to the Discord and having the community kind of take a stab at this, and we could talk about it on air. We might do that down the line. Maybe we can do that on the bonus episode.
Yeah,
somewhat
I was thinking the same
guys. But I don't know.
Oh man, there's a list, dude.
The notes that I took on this, I started with the really disastrous stuff. So I took down 2 things that were, essentially really could have been really poor experiences in the grand scheme of things. And then I kind of worked my way down from there, because if you go based on the way that he words it, really anything and everything that you do is always up for.
Yeah, I guess more like what you're saying is like, it's the crucial ones, like the ones that aren't like your basic, hey, have an extra poke or, extra igniters, that kind of thing. Like go with the ones that are like, probably wouldn't have thought of that kind of situation. And that's the moments that we've had where we'll all share, I guess.
Well, let's see who wants to throw themselves.
AJ,
everybody always wants to go
first.
I want to go first. You go first, Jamie.
That's all right. We're all. I can imagine all 3 of us will be incriminating ourselves.
I want to hear how the person who is perfect messed up.
Let's hear it, Bo.
Tell me more.
Okay, fine. I'll go first. I'll go first. We're going to do this round table though. We're not going to go just like, I'm not going to do all mine because that's going to get boring. Mine is a little more broad stroke than that, because when I first started to get into fireworks, and I'm not talking like Dad was into it forever, and then I would get interested in it 2 days before the 4th of July and all the way through 2 days after the 4th of July, and then, never care about it again. I'm talking at the point in my life where I genuinely have a love for this. I want to do this. This is really cool. I think I can do something with this. And I didn't even know the Pyro musical really existed. This was back in like, I don't know, this is probably 2010, maybe 2009, something like that. But started to get into it with Dad and wanted to participate in the lake show stuff. And that's when I started to discover e-firing. I was so curious about e-firing that I bought some gear. I think my first purchase was in one of those little RF remote techs or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And I would go to the fireworks store and I would buy fireworks. And this was back when fireworks were not, like consumer fireworks were not legal in Ohio. You could buy them, but you signed the liar's form, which said you got to get your ass out in 48 hours. You can't discharge it here. So we live in a suburban neighborhood and it's pretty condensed. It's all of the things that you essentially should not be doing. You shouldn't be discharging this stuff in the street. And while I wasn't doing that, we live right next to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So there's base property like right next door, and they got like this baseball field. So I would take fireworks and sneak out in the middle of the night, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, go over in the field and shoot mortars off. And, the threshold was like 2 mortars within, 30 seconds before the cops showed up. Hindsight being 2020 and doing that stuff for a good year, nothing catastrophic happened, but it made me realize stupid experiences like that and stupid experiences like, when I didn't want to go over in the base and just shoot them in mom and dad's backyard, Dad's got his pool cover on, and I was like burning holes and stuff through the top of the pool cover. The importance of having a legal outlet that was a decision that came from realizing that I didn't like doing things the wrong way. I knew that I wanted to do things legally, and doing things incorrectly kind of drove me to go out and find those outlets.
I'm trying to think how you mean that's a disaster, though.
It wasn't a disaster.
No,
it was a potential disaster.
Yeah.
That could have ended very poorly.
He was being an adrenaline junkie for the wrong things.
The stuff that I was doing in the backyard in a suburban neighborhood, something falls over, blows in the gun, taking things over in the dog park, shells would have gone up and not broke and come down somewhere in the middle of the night, and I not been able to find it. People could have driven over that. There's kids and all kinds of people in traffic that frequent that little dog park all the time. I knew I shouldn't have been doing it. Mom and Dad weren't happy that I was doing it, but I was doing it anyway because I wanted to scratch the itch. And I think a lot of people in our hobby, if they don't have the means to scratch the itch, then they wind up kind of getting, I guess, bullheaded about it. And they're just like, you know what? I got to do it. I got to do it this way. And because I need to shoot fireworks.
I need it now.
You don't understand. I need to know if this works.
I got an itch. It's scratching.
Yeah. But that was my big one. I got another safety one, but we'll come back around to that one.
Jamie.
Yeah, whatever. You were supposed to be next.
No, we never said that.
I said that. I said I wanted the God to tell me how he messed up.
And he told you.
So
he told you. He lit off stuff in the park and he wasn't supposed
to. That's funny. I see what you're doing here, but I'm not who he's talking about.
So mine would be very similar. We would shoot fireworks July 4th at a party. Everybody would pitch in, would buy a bunch of fireworks, and, everybody wanted to light them and shoot them. And, they all wanted to intoxicate themselves prior to. And they were just all out there hand lighting, putting 2 shells inside of a tube and lighting them both. Oh, let's see if we can get 3 shells in the tube. Stupid stuff like that. And then they're knocking over tubes, and one of those shells whizzed by my head and exploded over the pond. And I said, we're not doing this anymore, boys. Not at all. You guys are crazy. So that's when I bought a firing system, and I bought all the fireworks from then on out. And it's where we are today. It got very dangerous. Nobody got hurt, but it could have ended a completely different way. Now they all just let me do my thing, and there's no crazy people out there with a lighter in a mortar tube, leaning against a brick on a hill sideways.
How'd those guys take that? Because I know there's a transition period there.
You want to know how they took it? Oh my God, how many fireworks did you buy? I don't know, a lot. That's great.
Okay, Jamie, how many of these are for me?
Oh, you mean
they were actually very, very happy with it.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have to stop drinking, and they just got to watch a show.
Yeah.
And it was nothing like they ever saw before. Before it was light and run. And all of a sudden it's like, they're not stopping.
Yeah.
So everybody was very enthusiastic about it. I was much happier because I didn't have a bunch of untrained people that had no clue what they were doing, or, shouldn't be in places that explosions are happening. And I got to fall in love with a whole nother aspect of fireworks.
Yeah. What was step number 1? What'd you do? Did you go out and just
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically. Did you go out and Google, how do I light this firework off without being anywhere near it?
I started looking, and I just started Googling and searching, and I ran into, Light Up the Lake. And then I ran into, Pyro Boom, and then I ran into Cobra, and then I ran into PGI. And, 3 years later, I realized, oh, wait, Tim Jameson shot the show that I fell in love with between, Bosey's Light Up the Lake and Tim Jameson's PGI show. That set my passion on fire. And then I was like, I met both my legends.
And by a year later, you mean like 3 months later, you had
3 months later.
3 months. 3 months later, you had 48 racks and 2 display companies worth of equipment.
Yeah, I mean, I went a little crazy. Well, the first year I had the Chinese. The first year actually I did fusing.
Yeah,
I did the whole search of how to shoot fireworks and light them all off, and I fused everything together. Bought multiple fuse packs from Phantom Fireworks and did that thing, and it was the worst experience of my life because somebody decided to hook up their phone to my Bluetooth speaker, and none of my music was playing, and all this stuff was going off, and I'm trying to push these buttons based on songs, and it's a very stressful event. So that's when it led me to Cobra after that first year.
I want full control over my music.
My audio box.
I fused it, then I electric remoted it, and then I bought the Cobra system.
Guys, I swear to God, I didn't pick Beyonce.
It definitely would have been country music either way we went, but
yeah. I asked about the other people around you. Fireworks on the 4th of July or at those annual events, they, you develop, tight-knit groups of people that you do those things with. I know it was really tough for Dad and I the first couple of years trying to, because like he did initially, and I'm not at all throwing him under the bus. Like I would have been skeptical too if my wily-eyed son was like, Dad, you don't understand. I'm going to hit a button over here and then that fireworks can go off over there. You're going to love it.
Whatever, Bo.
Yeah, sure.
You do you.
Right. And then the show doesn't go up until an hour after it's supposed to. The neighbors are screaming. I
got work tomorrow.
Exactly. And all the while, I'm sure my dad's thinking to himself, man, I cannot wait to rip into this idiot tomorrow.
Breakfast will be fun.
You asked me how they took it. So you've been on my shoot site that I shoot at. When we first shot, it used to be by the pond or by the other side of the house. They would bring a bunch of cakes and mortars and just shoot fireworks over there at the end of the night. Go carrying out stuff and then take some more out there and just light and run. It just got way too chaotic. So the first time I took over, I bought a ton of stuff and they were like, oh my goodness, how many fireworks should I buy? I was like, I figured double what we did last year. And they didn't like how much work it was. Like they were happy to let me do everything from that point on because of how much work it was. And when I'm tired and I haven't slept in 2 days and I'm stressed out, I'm not a very enjoyable person to be around. Ask AJ or my wife. So the next year, it was like, we're not fusing. We're figuring out something else. It was push buttons with less fusing, but then somebody messed with my music. And then it was Cobra and nobody got to touch anything, but I learned splicing is no fun either.
Yeah.
So it's been year on year on year. How do you make life less miserable?
Yeah. That winds up being the driving factor a lot of times. And it's why it's so important to take notes after every experience you have. Every shoot site's going to be different. Every prep is going to be different. And there's going to be things that you are uncomfortable with, or at least things that you can sit down and say, this was kind of painful. This process seemed kind of painful. So, just jot that process down and then spend time thinking about what might be an easier way of doing this. I mean, when the running joke with the frog tape is, it's amazing. For the longest time, like it never occurred to me that using crappy masking tape from Harbor Freight was a bad idea. And I still to this day, it's like the stickers on my license plate, the validity stickers. I just like stack them on top of each other. I don't ever pull the old ones off.
That's about it.
It's so much easier. My dad will take that inside, get a razor blade, and up it comes. And then he puts a new sticker on. But it's a process.
I do the same thing.
I ain't got no time for that. I'm just going to keep going until that thing's protruding off of my license plate by a fingernail's length.
My 04 truck's about a 1/4 inch thick.
Yeah, but then it's like, then I met AJ and he's like, well, why don't you just use frog tape? And I said, well, what's that? And he's like, you see how your racks look just terrible? They'll never look like that because you can get the tape off and it's not going to leave residue and all this other crap.
Yeah,
I was like, duh.
Princess tape. Princess tape. Call what it is.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was going to be one of my funny ones I was going to use, too.
Damn it.
You're what? I brought it up.
Him and me. You used it before I could say it.
Yeah. And again, probably not a disaster, but I mean, the second part of Crispy's message or topic suggestions seem to be, how do you learn? And that's really the $1 million question, is keeping an open mind and understanding what sucks and what doesn't. But, be hypercritical of everything that you do. Don't assume that every process that you have thought up 1 or 2 years in is the most efficient way to do it. Have an open mind and be able to take an objective look at things, I think.
If you got that plot of money, just hire a TV crew to follow you around. You can watch and see what you did wrong.
AJ, that's what we could do. One of those 1980s, how to teach piano videos, where you teach people how to tape things. You're gonna do it like this.
I thought you were going to talk about one of those work safety videos.
Hi, my name is AJ Plata, and today I'm going to teach you how to work a ratchet strap.
And we're going to talk about...
Take this in, you stick it in that end like this, and then you click it one time.
Click,
but when your shoot site Caesar says 1 click, not 2 clicks, I hope to God you know how to count. AJ, what's your top one?
Oh, suitcases.
Man, you guys both went with safety on there, and I guess I took it in a total different direction of how this was being talked about. What do you keep talking about?
No, you didn't. You didn't misunderstand it. Just say it, and then I'll do my best to make it sound like you understood the assignment.
What you're talking about.
I'm here to support you.
The planning and prep section, I guess I took it in the order he was going, is how I thought him, wrote him down, was actually one that I think all of us kind of do once, but and even have people tell you, hey, make sure you do this before you do this kind of thing. And it's make sure you're 100% done with your show planning. Numbered, queued, labeled, everything on the computer before you print the stickers.
Yeah.
We still don't do that.
The only sensational.
I'm driving at 5 a.m. with 2 hours of sleep to go print labels of Kinkos.
Oh my God, stop talking about it.
So I did the same thing you guys did, though. I labeled everything, had it in boxes, ready to go. And it wasn't until I went back to tweak something and I'm like, oh, let me just change this real quick. And dummy me pushed renumber.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, I changed everything.
Yeah.
Hey, Amber, what? You come help me. We have to find each one of these effects. It's only 800.
The old days when it was only 800.
That's right. You tackle it in chunks of 50 and that 800 doesn't look so bad after a while.
Yeah, it's just a 4x8.
I guess that was one of my starting things with things to remember not to do.
That's a huge one, really, though.
Well,
I mean,
because it happens a lot, and a lot of people.
It does.
Well, we laugh at the fact, you say that you don't think you understood the assignment, which I completely disagree, because that's the kind of stuff where you do your prep ahead of time. So when you guys caught it, you still had time to make an adjustment. But how many times have you heard horror stories that happen because a mistake was made up front with prep on something like that? But then you get to the site and you realize the script that I have loaded isn't the sheet of 1,500 labels that I have printed.
Thank God for C4.
Oh, C4. I don't think there's enough hours in the day unless the C4 makes time run backwards.
Apparently it did. It worked.
Oh, I mean, imagine for you instance, going to I guess your product was prepped on site, but so anything at Skywars then pretty much coming there with everything labeled and then me making a tweak and going, oh, I never exported the script, but I changed it.
Oh, that's right. I didn't lock everything else when I made that change. Yeah. I didn't lock all my other cues in design software.
Yeah. The worst part was, I remember while I was redoing it, I was thinking, Bo's going to laugh at me because we just talked about this.
Yeah, well, that's the part where you can go, ha, 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 you're laughing, but the joke's on you because you're on my crew, and this is part of your problem too. You laugh, but you got to help fix it. I'm sure Amber was thinking the same thing when you told her, like, look, chill, it's only 800.
She actually gave me the look of, are you kidding me? I'm like, really? What? I'm like, it's easy. The kinks are easy.
Labor.
That one kind of reminds me of Match Leader too. That's one that people will typically pick up on pretty quick. I did. I mean, my first show, I thought I was saving money by getting Match that was 3 feet long across the board. And I'm like, this is going to be great.
And
man.
just
I'm
run
saving,
scab wire?
Right. I'm just saving so much money. I'll just run scab wire and it'll be fine. I just learned that on YouTube. I mean, I'm dangerous now. So you get to the site and you're like, oh, it's like, these are rafts, man. All these rafts are only 4 feet by like 4 feet or 8 feet by 8 feet or whatever, but it's still too short. Can you imagine how insulting to people's intelligence it is when you hand them like an industrial reel of scab wire and tell them that sorry, you're 6 inches short.
Oh my God.
That's terrible. And then what would wind up happening is like they'd cut off 6 inches and that'd still be like the thing was taught as you could walk a tightrope, man. It's like, yeah, it's too short. I mean, okay, got to move the cake a little bit.
Yeah. Scab wires for emergency purposes only.
I think we all do that one time and decide that was really stupid.
I've done it twice, and the second time was emergency situation.
Yeah.
It was the leftovers from the first time I did it 3 years prior, and I said never again.
My first time was, these are only 1 foot long, and I can get 100 of them for this. Sweet. I got 2-wire doorbell cable in the garage and a ton of it.
It's 24 gauge.
So yeah, exactly. And then that was when I had my old system that was like the old China push button one. And I was like, had 6 or 7 things in one queue and like trying to wire all that in parallel together, try to put it into a queue strip. Oh yeah. And just the time, I remember sitting at the kitchen table for like 2 nights watching TV, just sitting there, rolling out a little wire, cutting it, splicing it, bending them back, putting tape over it, shunting them back, folding it back up, putting it in the box. Mm-hmm. Why? I could have done 2 nights of side jobs and put all the match I needed for 2 years.
I still have MJGs that are spliced in series with 4 wires connected to it because I had to call in reinforcements from the the slightly intoxicated crowd is like, I just need you guys to twist wires together. Just sit right here and splice 4 of these together at a time, period, not the end. Just make a pile. Don't get them all tangled up. Just splice. What do you mean? How many you know what? Just don't stop. Just keep doing it.
Do it just like this. And you come back and they've tied their significant other up.
Oh,
I didn't understand.
It was a complete mess, man. That first Cobra firing system, I had 7 modules. 7 modules. I had like 6 18Ms and a 72M, and I shot 700 Qs off of those 7 modules. I had 3 positions all running off the 1 modules, which were Centronics running to the first, second, and third position. And off of those, all of them had spliced wires, 3 and 4 series coming off of it. It was the worst experience of wiring. It's like, this is not a wireless system at all. This is atrocious. So that system completely got revamped, and I've not had that issue ever since. Yeah. Hence, I still have a bunch of wires in series sitting on the shelf back here that I never used.
It's a learning experience, man.
It is.
I think I don't know, you guys tell me, on fields like that, is your mindset initially, obviously when you have no gear, you want to have just enough gear to shoot the show that you feel comfortably. But I think, do you believe it's a experience with the system and the gear yet to understand, okay, maybe should should buy more, should buy less, and run cables. Like what kind of stuff makes sense? I think a lot of that comes from experience. Like you have to experience.
Experience.
You never know.
Lack of friends.
It's not like you took a class to figure out what it's like to set up a show electronically. You just your first year doing it is your first year do it, and that's when you learn. You're like, man, I thought this would only take like an extra few hours. Nope.
Oh yeah.
Nope.
Yep.
Like Jamie said, I need helpers.
Yep. And then I learned from that. I went from helpers to I got friends. These friends have Cobra. These friends know what they're doing. These friends are invited to said shoot site. You don't have to do anything. Hey, while you're here.
My favorite on your shoot site was still the person who plugged in one side of the slat to the opposite side of the slat. That was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. But I'm sure in their mind, they're like, look, we did exactly what Jamie told us to do. I mean, one end of this cable clearly says channel 21. The other end of this cable clearly also says 21. Well, you know what? That slat right there, that's 21. It's got 2 ports on it. Done.
Nailed it.
I mean, I guess that goes with a good point too for something to do. Delegate the people that are helping you to make sure the correct, competent people are setting up the right stuff.
Yeah. If you don't like them, then you just put them on Medusa duty.
Oh my God. You weren't on that.
Sorry. Couldn't help it.
On an AJ show, you should know better. That he's always going to work on single shots. I like to work on single shots too, but I'll take one for the team. Jamie, you got progressively grouchier. It's like at first you're like, it's fine, this is all good, and then 3 hours later, it's like, I'm still in Medusa duty, man. This is not fun.
That's what happens when you put a wheel on backwards.
It's supposed to be a hobby.
I don't like having to use a wrench.
Oh my God. It wasn't just you. You, Amber, Richard, Robert.
You set Amber down because you felt sorry for me.
Oh my God. Tell yourself whatever you want, man.
I think it would have been fun to hang out with Richard and Robert.
It was.
See?
But I can't let AJ know that. You can't let AJ know that. We were just down there minding our own business, doing our own thing. All those shells went exactly the way they were supposed to.
That's right. That's right. And if they're all the same, were they all the same color shells that were in there? Or were they a little different here and there, here and there?
They're all red and green.
Okay. Then you're fine. He's not going to notice.
Exactly.
Screwed up.
They all look the same.
Oh my God. I hate you guys.
You didn't see that, did you? No, man. That looked beautiful. That was great.
Oh my God.
Okay, let's do the...
I was going to ask you a question off of what he was saying here. What is something disaster-wise during prep that you've ever come across where you're like, you know what? I found something I'm never going to do again, or make sure I do again?
Find AJ to a shoot site?
No, that's pretty far down on the list because he pulls his weight when he's there, so I can take everything that goes along with it.
Ooh, tell me about cameras.
I don't know. I'll pick one that's rather recent. I don't know if it was disastrous. It sucked because Octoblast was quick paced in the sense that we had a lot to do in an extremely short period of time. But when we addressed the show, I thought I had a solid understanding of the racking nomenclature and, that new system that, you guys had utilized to this point. And I semi utilized it at the lake, and I tried to utilize it again at Octoblast, but because I had used multiple 22s per chamber, it didn't work out that way. So gotcha. Like the nomenclature in the sense that, this chamber is always going to be Q1 and that chamber is always going to be Q11 or 12. That didn't work out. So we wound up locking everything and readdressing it. But this was all happening at like 4 a.m, the day of the show. So didn't get much sleep. Jamie, was there, thankfully, and he had done it to a point where it's like, all right, we got to change this, and we got to make sure that we get all of this stuff assigned. But like, we had to reprint labels. Like, he had to go, and when I say we, I mean Jamie had to go to his house.
You heard Jamie, he was like, excuse you, me.
Yeah.
I knew he was like, hey,
I was actually going to say, we hadn't labeled anything in your pocket, yet.
Bo.
We hadn't labeled anything yet, but then I was going to say, well, Bo was sleeping while I was printing labels.
Yeah. That's true.
Then he got mad because I left my watch on the sink and broke him up.
Oh my God. All the while, you were running on like no hours of sleep, because I think you consumed a C4 at 3 a.m. or something
Friday
crazy
and
like
Saturday,
that.
I had 2 hours of sleep both nights. And C4 literally carried me for like 6 hours. Pretty impressive.
So that was one. And then the other one was before the lake finale is always my dad's segment of the show, which is about a half an hour's worth of 1/4 off of one of the docks. And because his display is more or less, it's usually to the same soundtrack. It's shot with Cobra. So, you choose the file name for the audio box, and I'll get all of my USB drives put together. And I don't know, I must have just sped through it and not thought about it, but I'll usually name Dad's body because it's the body of the show. It's body.mp3. And for whatever reason that year, I had body.mp3 in the script, but I named the MP3 file main show. So we were 20 minutes into his show and music was playing on our side of the lake. And this is before we had a sound system. Like, all I had was my tiny little monitor speaker. So halfway into the show, we're testing, and we restarted the show at least 2 times at the very beginning, and it wasn't fixing it. But I was troubleshooting the entirety of the time. So Dad's like 10 minutes in, 12 minutes in, and at about the 15-minute mark in his show, like, I had a light bulb moment. I ran in, and because I had the same MP3 files on my other drive, I just copied their duplicates, they're of each other, on my audio box for my system out on the lake. So I looked at the file name and realized that it wasn't the same file name that was in his script that I had saved. So I got on the radio, I called over to Nick at the sound system across the lake, and I was like, hey, you're never going to believe this. Run inside. Hop on the neighbor's computer, and let me know what the name of this file is. Do you see an MP3 called main show? And he said, yes. And I'm like, change the name of that to body, and then run down, stick it in the audio box and see what happens. He's like, do you want me to turn the audio box off? I said, no, just leave everything on. So like, the audio box has been running the entire time. He plugs that bad boy in, and not like 5 seconds later, it catches up to the script and just starts playing.
No shit.
Yeah. Yep. It found it halfway through the show. But after it was all over, Dad's looking at me like, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, man. You got months to make sure that this is right.
Well, that brings up a good one that I can say that this is definitely on my checklist, and to make sure that I do anytime I'm going to use SMPTE. So last year I had an issue where the device I had wasn't playing and wasn't allowing me to feed SMPTE to the time code, or to the R2, and I was screwed. Thank God I think I told this story before. I thank God Amber went and got my laptop, and I had to redo the script and load it back in. And by then this was a disaster show. Half of the people left.
Yeah.
And here it is 15 minutes later, and I'm finally getting a 3-minute finale off the ground.
Oh man.
So that was a learning experience, to always have a backup for your SMPTE or whatever you're using, to make sure that you have audio somehow.
Yeah.
That's backup for redundancy is good for anything. I do that with my speakers. I have 2 generators, not because I really need 2 generators, but if anything happens with these Arbor Freight generators, I have 2 speakers plugged in one and 2 speakers plugged in the other. I don't have to worry about overloading. I don't have to worry about one dying and not having any music. You know, a lot of times if I can hardwire the speakers, I'll hardwire 2 and I'll run 2 on a generator. So if anything happens, the likelihood of all of them going out at once, I've at least got something going on during the show.
Yeah. Jamie's going to put an audio box on 2 speakers, one on each.
Yeah, an audio box for each speaker. That'd be pretty funny.
No, I've read for 2 speakers because you're feeding 2 off one, 2 off the other.
No, I feed them all the same. They're just being powered via different sources.
I know, that's what I'm saying, though.
Not audio-wise.
If the audio box goes out, you'd have a spare audio box playing.
Well, one day you'll buy me a second one.
I got for the new one to come out.
Yeah. One day. I gotta get a job first.
Oh my God.
No more Jamie money. Unemployment doesn't pay that well.
Oh, you can go work for Chad. You can stock his pole barn.
I could. Maybe he'll let me sweep. That'll have to cover my storage fees.
Oh, no.
Sweep his barn.
I can picture it now. Chad will be standing there like that lady in the Maytag commercial where she's trying to make up her mind where she would like those 40 cases of fireworks moved to. Maybe let's move them 4 feet to the left.
The last 7 cases of fireworks I bought before I lost my job. I wonder what he's going to say when I have to drop those off at his house too.
It's perfect. I shot all your other ones. I got room now.
That's exactly what you say. Great, I made room for them.
Oh my God. So Jamie, for you, got a question. Execution. I guess you already gave that one.
Different answer.
Yeah.
Execution. Like Mortal Kombat style? Like
finish him.
What are we talking about?
Like executing.
You know what? That's
like,
a really good idea. Maybe we should start anybody that shoots a Pyro musical finale right after the body of a show. Like you get a shell stepping show, like right before you start your Pyro musical finale and right after Doug's body, just play the
finish him.
Finish him.
Finish him.
And then boom.
I'm going to do that for my board.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That's funny.
Does everyone starts clapping and that's all you hear is
finish him.
And then there's another minute left. Everybody's like, what the hell?
After 5 minutes of craziness goes off, there's a pause and it's just
finish him.
And then the finale starts.
Oh my God. And then when it's all over and they've announced the winner, you do another 30 seconds followed by a
flawless victory.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do a GoFundMe this year on this board because the ideals I have are astronomical and I still haven't picked the music yet. Oh my God. Man. So what was your execution question?
I guess it was more on like, you kind of talked about one earlier already where you're talking about the fusing and like doing all that, like getting the show off the ground. Yeah, exactly. Executing the show like something.
So over the years, it's always been, you guys come down if you can, but I never want to depend on that. And I never want you guys to actually have to do anything, but it's never worked like that. Ever.
That's okay. We like to work. It's okay. For you.
It's, I know, but you
should invite AJ and put him on Medusa duty.
Yeah, I will next time. He just took over the show, so that was fine too. So,
oh my God.
One day I'll be like Tong and just be able to do everything and not have anybody to be accountable. It's just me, but I'm not that good. But it's I spend a lot of time prepping. That's why my whole Cobra system changed from fusing to series connections to no scab wire. Absolutely not. It's, of course I can't buy equipment right now. And, I've put a hold on equipment for some of the other stuff that I needed, but getting the relationships and the friends that have the equipment that trust me enough to be able to use it, with the knowledge when I burn their module to a crisp and it still powers on that I'm going to replace it. But, having that equipment there to not have to do those little things I learned over the time. So slats have been my friend because of the way my shows are. I do as much prep as I possibly can for the worst case scenario, prepping my racks, everything's ready to be wired and shunted. And, on shoot day when I have help, or if I don't have help, it's take it out in the field, put the modules out there, and I don't have to wire all that product on site. So I try to get everything done, usually a week in advance, a little bit at a time, just to take down the workload. So the day of, I'm not up to 3 a.m. and then doing a shoot site and, I'm Caesar because he's a
I know, don't mean to.
Oh my God.
Don't be rude.
I guess that is the thing. That's another one, I guess. Man, there's a lot, dude. There's too many.
There's a lot. I mean,
but these are all ones that like really mean. Like, well, like
Every
even
year
the
you
shoot
learn.
site Caesar thing. While it might be a running joke, it's kind of true too. To go right along with this list of things that you learn your limits and like maybe again it goes back to giving yourself more options and less stress and making sure you delegate more of that out to people.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Jamie was just saying.
Key.
It's so he does all that stuff himself. You get used to that for so long. You just become used to doing that one way that thing
Last
that
year
one
was
way.
pretty smooth. Chad and Bo kept on raining, but we were ready before dark. Even with all the issues we had, it was smooth. I mean, there's a lot of work, but every year learn a little bit more and, gets better. So you make it bigger.
I was going to say, I think every year we go a little bigger and it's like,
I'll
doesn't
do a
ever get
200 Q show
easier.
next year. 200 Qs.
Lies. Bro, I think I'm going to do
Bar
a
equipment.
150 Q show this year and call it quits. Done. You go, Dad. Here, Dad, let me do the body. You can take the Pyro musical.
There you go.
I'll
Tell
play
you what, I'll
Finale
just
3D
bring out my
finally.
4x8 for the finale for the raft. We can put the 4x8 on one raft.
Yeah, right. Split duty. The same 30-second song because ain't nobody got any more time for anything but 30 seconds. So send that same 30 seconds. I'll do one raft. AJ can do one raft and you can do one raft. And then that's it. We'll just have 3 shows going off at the same time.
At the same time.
At the same time. And then
You do the left position. I'll do the center. You do the right. That's great. I think we all bit off more than we could chew this year. This year is just, I'm going to call it hell year. Instead of hell yeah.
Let me see. Was there anything else on
what he said?
I'm trying to think back on the core topic.
So many things I learned from things that actually went wrong. There's too many of them, really. But that's how you learn.
I hope you don't hear all the bullfrogs on this mic.
Are you outside?
No, the bullfrogs are atrocious right now, man. They are so freaking loud. I thought somebody had bullfrogs in the background. I took my headphones. I was like, oh crap, it's me. Oh my God.
I can't tell. Are there actually bullfrogs or are you farting? I can't tell if this is a parable for something.
I haven't opened the pool well back in 2 years. So
they live in your pool.
bad.
Got it.
Yeah.
There you go, Bo. Bust his balls. He goes about the truck. Bust his balls.
There's a leak. The liner's leaking. I tried finding it and I didn't want to drop 10 grand on a liner because
I don't blame you. I mean, what are pools even good for? My dad lives and swears by his, but as far as I'm concerned, you just fill them up with gravel and
get off of work. I get
plant a
done
garden.
mowing. I go sit in the pool after all that grass and sweat and just hang out in the pool and drink a beer, get some cardio in. It was nice.
Yeah.
It was really nice. I don't have time to clean it.
Yeah.
Ooh, I could put a raft in the pool and shoot fireworks out of it.
Yeah.
Called a lake show.
And like those little skateboards that you use your fingers with. It's kind of the same thing.
Fingerboards.
Light up the lake. The tiny version. Light up the pool.
Just AI it this year.
Yeah.
Take your site picture and then just say, here's what I used to do. Make it for me.
Yeah.
And then load it into Finale 3D.
Yeah. As long as AI can do that for me, perfect.
That image you have on Patreon of AJ cracks me up because it looks like a mixture of me and AJ in one.
Wait, what's up on there? Man, I really need to go check out this Patreon. Oh, is it the one?
It's patreon.com.
Over the grill. Yeah. I guess you're cooking. I don't know. It looks like you got your arm laying in a plate of calamari and it's on fire.
I thought it was maggots.
I don't know what it was. It's
you funny,
tell
Jamie?
AI to make something that makes something, then you're like, oh, okay, I gotta like this. For the most part, this works. It fits, the subject of what we're going for. But his arm is in like a plate of food and it's on fire. But nobody's gonna notice.
It is kind of funny because when I saw that the first time, I thought the same thing, Jamie. I'm like, it kind of looks like if me and Jamie had like joined faces.
I mean, it straight up does. I didn't have gray hair. It's funny.
You and Jamie had
chin though.
And then had a kid, then he grew up and he had a food truck. That's what he would look like. Yeah.
What?
He didn't know how to spell because his shirt says apparently like it's like the all the rage now.
It says Pyro.
Earthen P-O. No, there's no R. It's just P-Y-O. It's P-O.
There's no Y.
Earthen P-O.
It says Earthen Pyro.
P-O. Yeah, right. It's the newest engines are like, yeah, man, we can spell. You tell us what to spell and it'll spell it. And I'm like, that definitely does not say Rhythm Pyro, bro. This is totally befitting.
That's great.
Perfect.
It'd been better if it had been a red vest and a green writing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Actually, it looks like what he's cooking, it looks like corned beef hash.
Really? I thought it looked like fried calamari.
I don't know why I'm hungry now. It's weird.
I am too. I am too.
It must be all the alcohol. I'm going to finish this bottle.
This is great. I was hoping that this episode was going to require very little editing, but a lot of the things that were said tonight, I have a feeling that this is the most edited episode.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because there's a lot of stuff that's got to come out of this one.
Yeah, it's mainly in the beginning.
A lot of stuff that's got to come out of it. That's got to come out.
That's your fault.
I know.
Yours.
I know.
What else was said?
There were whole topics that we were talking about.
If we say it again, he's going to have to edit that too. So stop talking about it.
Yeah, shut up. Yeah, I don't know.
We got any voicemails?
We don't have any voicemails this week.
Calm down. We haven't got there yet.
Oh my God. Stop yelling at me.
We don't, no voicemails, no news. I guess we could have done this.
For what?
Because you were giving advice.
Hola amigos, this is Fireworks Advice is Luis Alfredo. Sit down, grab your pillow, and enjoy a siesta while we tell you about how his way of doing things is muy superioso, okay?
Muy superioso, okay?
Number 1 on the list. Friends don't let friends use Craigco and standard masking tape together.
Well, hold on. Say that again.
Did you say? I couldn't understand what you just said.
You said my brain's leaking out of my ear because you said friends don't let friends use Craigco, but they do. They encourage them to use Craigco.
That semicolon was bad.
No. I see what he's doing. He's saying friends don't let friends use anything but princess tape, frog tape, with their Craigco racks.
We need to create what is that thing called?
The 10 Commandments of Rhythm Pyro.
A legend to tell everybody what princess tape is and bow tape and what's the other one?
I think that's it.
You got Dave's Magic Tape. Everybody knows what that one is.
An actual, oh my God.
I don't know, dude. Bow tape.
You ever actually had any disasters during cleanup?
Just that one that we talked about a few episodes ago, where we had let the cool down period do its thing, and then we start walking out to the field, and then all of a sudden a shell goes off in the finale pod. Nobody was over there yet to check them, but
that's a good point right there.
Yeah.
If water cannons are great, cake fires are a pain in the butt, but if they're not causing any damage and nothing's going to get hurt, let them burn.
Yeah.
Don't run out there and try to set one out, because there's multiple fires happening. You're going to take a risk of getting, cake falling apart and shooting by your head while you're trying to put out a cake just to save a wire. Let it burn. But your modules, modules are not meant to be in fire, whether you got a boot, a blanket, or a case, it doesn't matter. The best fire protection is to keep it away from your cakes as far as possible and let that cake fire burn.
From anything flammable.
Yeah, I mean, electric shoot sites in general. It's one thing to have spotters, but those spotters' duties, you really don't want those duties to extend beyond spotting. Spotting should just be like, hey, I'm radioing back to tell you that there's an issue.
It's emergencies,
right?
Emergency.
So, I mean,
only.
You had a flower pot or something that tipped a rack, or you had a blowout that it was a catastrophic blowout, and you've got more shells that are set to go off in that rack. At points like that, then let's radio back, stop the show, things like that. The spotter job shouldn't ever be, hey, I'm spotting, but I'm also a superhero. So if I see a cake on fire in the middle of the show and there's still 20 minutes left in the show and that's an active pod, I'm going to go over there with the cannon and give it hell,
Case in point, Cobra Con, bunch of new people learning things. There was so many mods and racks that got destroyed, but you had to let them burn.
Yeah.
You really did. There was one module that I saw that burned through the case all the way down to the PCB board, and that was the only thing that was left. I mean, sadly that happened, but it is a learning experience that everybody should learn from. Do not put your modules near product. Keep it as far away from as possible. Single shots are one thing, but cakes, you can't stop a cake from burning. It's inherently going to catch on fire at some point in time. Let it burn.
Yeah.
And anybody that has new helpers for cleanup, if you have anybody new and you burn your cakes afterwards, make sure that none of those people are allowed to throw cakes into a fire. Because that's definitely something.
Why?
I'm getting there. I had a buddy for the first time come out to my show, and I think I've told this story before too, but it's definitely one of those things where, I let him do it, and I said, just look in the tubes. I was like, use a flashlight and just kind of go through the tubes. And if you see it's black or, it still hasn't been shot, I was like, just put it off the side. Well, he obviously didn't do that. And it's me and my whole family. My kids are around the fire, and he throws it in there, and you hear something pops out, and we're like, whoa, what was that? And boom, stuff's flying everywhere now. And then you have 16 people running for cover. My brother-in-law that we call Bullseye now because he caught a perfect ember that came right out of the fire, and dead center of his throat. It could have been a tube. Man. It could have been bad. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So after that, it's like, okay, the only people allowed to throw in there anymore is me and my brother-in-law. Don't even, just stay away from it.
Community bonfires are not for Pyro product.
It is if you check them.
Either that or, if they're in a controlled spot, like the one that the burn pile at Octoblast, and it's a mile away from where the party's at and things like that.
It's down over a hill and it's protected, and that's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
Not, we're all standing around roasting marshmallows, just talking. Oh crap! Did you hear that boom? And everybody's running.
Rushing marshmarshmallows. We're just sitting there bullshitting and talking.
Exactly.
And we got a whole lot of cakes to burn. So let's start it.
There's let's talk about a bonfire, and then let's not talk about a bonfire. I took the safety to extreme. The first time I did the bonfire after the show. The next day, put everything in a pile, douse it in diesel fuel, put a flame pot out there, leader wire, MJG igniter, laid the flame pot, laid the diesel, bonfire began, and we sat several hundred yards away and watched the show. It was actually pretty cool. Every once in a while, you get a cool firework came out.
I should have done one of those movie scenes, where they put like a trail of gas that starts, 200 feet away.
Yeah, I guess some of that match that Devin had on there. What do you have, like 10,000 feet?
Oh, yeah. Quick match.
12-second fuse.
10,000 feet quick match. That would go pretty quick. You could do zigzag marks. I can only imagine how dude's lawn would look after that.
Right.
Sizzle, sizzle.
Uh-huh. I'd love to see that Google Maps imagery 6 years from now when it pops up and the satellites got a hold of it. It looks like the aliens landed here, but I think they were drunk driving or something.
Okay, amigos, this has been Fireworks and Maisis Luis Alfredo. Laters.
Also, if you take your kids to Mexico ever, they can buy fireworks at the age of 5, so don't leave them alone.
It's probably a right in Mexico. It's written into law. All right, I think that's it this week. We don't have any voicemails, don't have any news. You guys got any news?
Nothing. Oh, the Proline page is back up. I guess that is news.
Oh, yeah, new ownership.
New ownership.
Yeah. Saw that.
Fantastic.
Other than that, I don't think so.
All right.
It's pretty crazy. It's still kind of dead on the forums. Like, it's starting to pick up a little bit with some few questions here and there, but you don't see how it usually is. And I wonder if it's more of the Facebook thing, like everyone's paranoid to post stuff.
That might have something to do with it. Everybody moved to a much cooler platform.
Right? Join us on Discord.
Yeah, join us in Discord.
But for now, we should probably stop talking about it.
You stop talking about it. Jamie, this was an awesome episode. You're so talkative.
Ribbit.
Ribbit. Ribbit. Ribbit.